Mayoral candidate will be on the general election ballot despite an attempt to block her candidacy by an ally of current Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who is
a mayoral candidate being challenged. The saga surrounding embattled South suburban politician Tiffany Henyard.
In a startling development, under the strain of growing controversies, Tiffany Henyard, the troubled mayor of Dothan and supervisor of Thornton Township, appears to be collapsing. Once regarded as a trailblazer, a young, dynamic black woman breaking barriers in leadership, Henyard is now at the focus of political unrest and public fury. It seems like her political career is coming to an end because to the constant upheaval caused by improper meetings, lawsuits, federal investigations, and allegations of financial mismanagement.
Mayor Tiffany Henyard was not at the hearing here today. Neither was her attorney, and she was not made available for a comment.
Let's begin by discussing the latest events that have everyone buzzing. Henyard skipped 2 important meetings earlier this week, one in Dothan and another emergency session in Thornton Township. She gave the explanation that there had been real threats made against her and other authorities. But the problem is that nobody else seemed to be aware of these alleged threats. Residents and trustees are calling her out, accusing her of using this as a way to avoid accountability as both Dothan and Thornton Township continue to descend into dysfunction. Jason House, a Dothan trustee who chaired the village board meeting in Henyard's absence, said that neither he nor the board had any evidence to back up her claims. Residents crowded the chamber to express their annoyance as the Dothan meeting went off without her. The public's opinion was quite evident, with many people speaking directly to Henyard despite her absence and accusing her of ignoring her duties. One person said frankly, "I once heard you quote Dre King about being the dream, no Tiffany, you are a nightmare." Another person arrived at work, sis. Henyard's absence is evidently more than simply a physical one. It represents a total collapse in leadership at a time when Thornton Township and Dothan Township are more in need of stability than ever. However, we must not overlook the Thornton Township emergency meeting, which was intended to discuss important matters such as the township's inadequate insurance policy. Residents are incensed because the lack of insurance has already resulted in the closure of vital services like elder transportation and other community programs, leaving many people unable to obtain necessities. The township was left in limbo when trustee Chris Gonzalez, who called the meeting, waited an additional 15 minutes for Henyard to arrive, but she never came. Gonzalez went on to say, "We're on a toll road of chaos right now, and unfortunately the residents are the ones paying the tolls. The situation is severe, and the absence of Henyard only serves to stoke the flames."
Are off behind me. The doors are locked here, and there's a sign on the building right now that says it's closed for how long? Neither residents nor employees.
Henyard is avoiding these meetings, so why? There are many who assume that it's because she is aware that the government inquiry into her alleged for months there has been financial malfeasance, and insiders indicate that indictments may soon follow. Not to mention the numerous scandals around her name, which have left Doon's finances in ruins due to costly taxpayer-funded travels and dubious expenditures. Lori Lightfoot, a former mayor of Chicago, examined Dalton's general fund and found that it had a negative balance of more than 3.5 million currency units. In one day, $40,000 were spent on Amazon orders, none of which had been accounted for. If that doesn't scream poor management, what does?
Again, no comment from Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Voters here will first head to the polls in February for the primary election, then the general mayoral.
Sources close to the probe, however, claim that the most disturbing aspect of Henyard's apparent mismanagement is its blatant disregard. Employees of the township have come out with allegations of financial irregularities, saying that money intended for community projects vanished for no apparent reason. It seems like we hit a brick wall every time we ask for transparency. According to one employee, who spoke on condition of anonymity, invoices for some items were either missing or completely faked to hide where the money actually went. According to the source, these accusations have only increased public mistrust, and many locals are now calling for a thorough financial audit of Thornton Township and Dalton. To make matters worse, residents are also worried about how the township's capacity to operate is being affected by Henyard's legal issues, as lawsuits are accumulating on all sides. Critics claim that Henyard's priorities have shifted from governance to self-preservation, and she is utilizing all of her resources to fight for herself rather than for us. At a recent town hall meeting, a frustrated resident expressed this sentiment, and Thornton Township staff members echoed it, saying that basic operations have been neglected because of the ongoing insurance crisis. Programs intended to help low-income families and seniors' children have come to a standstill, leaving vulnerable residents without the support they sorely need.
Government to provide a way to provide services, and we're not doing that because they're stalling government, gridlocking it, because they can have their.
Even Henyard's closest allies are beginning to distance themselves. Political insiders have observed a growing rift between Henyard and her former supporters, many of whom now view her as a liability. A source within her administration revealed that morale among her inner circle has plummeted, with staff members quietly resigning or disengaging from her increasingly erratic leadership. The writing's on the wall, the source said. People are jumping ship because they don't want to go down with this. This internal disarray reflects the public turmoil, signaling that Henyard's leadership may be crumbling from within. The dysfunction has also fueled a political power struggle in Thornton Township. Trustees Carmen Carlisle and Chris Gonzalez have been boycotting meetings in an effort to prevent Henyard from appointing an ally to a vacant trustee position, a move they fear would grant her unchecked power. Henyard, however, blames them for stalling government operations, including the renewal of the township's insurance policies. The ongoing standoff has created a complete deadlock, leaving residents caught in the middle. One trustee even warned that due to the political turmoil, the township's insurance costs have tripled while providing less coverage, placing an even greater financial burden on taxpayers.
Her hesitation is that if there's a person in there that will just say yes to everything, I mean, it will set us back.
While Henyard places the blame elsewhere, her detractors claim that she is to blame for the unrest, and locals have taken to the streets to demand accountability and her resignation. Outside of Henyard's mother's home, one protester compared her conduct to squandering a great chance. In the meantime, Dalton's acting police chief, who had previously claimed that Henyard had received numerous threats, has failed to provide proof of any that led to arrests or charges. This raises the question of whether the alleged threats are simply a diversion from her shortcomings. And speaking of distractions, others used megaphones to express their frustrations, symbolizing the widespread public anger that has reached a critical point. Henyard has filed a lot of lawsuits in the last few weeks, ranging from contesting her exclusion from the Thornton Township Democratic ballot to accusing Dalton trustees of plotting against her. It seems like they are trying everything to see what works. But who is paying for all of these legal disputes? Residents are left wondering if their taxes are being used to pay for her personal grudges because lawyers are not inexpensive.
Need some action. Somebody that's actually going to do their job. How about that? Somebody that's come in, work for the people, not themselves, and have pictures.
After losing the Democratic caucus in December, which was a humiliating defeat, with attendees allegedly yelling goodbye as she was denied the nomination, Henyard is still fighting to get back on the ballot for Thornton Township Supervisor. Although Henyard has since accused State Senator Napoleon Harris, who presided the caucus, of preventing her supporters from entering the venue, detractors contend that her defeat was a reflection of public opinion that people were tired of her leadership.
He likes being manipulated, and when you get here, you know that's exactly.
Behind the scenes, the situation in Thornton Township and Dalton is deteriorating rapidly. The village is grappling with a growing list of unresolved issues, from unlicensed animal control programs to delayed street plowing. Residents have expressed increasing frustration with what they perceive as a breakdown in essential services, with some claiming that basic municipal functions are being neglected under the leadership of Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Among the most pressing concerns is Henyard's ongoing legal battle over alleged late rent payments. Court records reveal that her former landlord has taken her to court over an eviction case, claiming that she owes over 13,000 currency units in back rent and damages. Although Henyard reportedly vacated the property in October, the case remains unresolved, adding yet another layer of controversy to her already tumultuous tenure. The fact that a sitting mayor is entangled in a financial dispute of this magnitude only fuels the perception that her administration is in disarray. What makes this situation particularly disheartening is the perceived squandering of an opportunity that could have been historic. As one frustrated resident put it, she had the golden opportunity to do something amazing in Dalton as a young Black woman, yet she chose to throw it all away because her ego got in the way. It's disgraceful. Indeed, Henyard's rise. to power was groundbreaking. She became the youngest mayor in Dalton's history and the first woman to hold the position. But instead of using her platform to enact meaningful change, critics argue that she has prioritized personal interests over the well-being of the community. Adding to the mounting political drama, rumors are swirling about a leaked audio recording involving trustee Andrew Holmes. Allegedly, Holmes was caught bragging about inappropriate activities during a trip to Las Vegas. Some speculate that this scandal may have influenced Henyard's recent decision to skip important village meetings. While the details of the recording remain unverified, the timing has raised eyebrows, particularly as the February primary election looms closer. As election season intensifies, all eyes are on Henyard. Can she salvage her political career, or is this the beginning of the end for her? Many of her critics have already made up their minds. Comparing her to a sinking ship desperately trying to stay afloat, they argue that each missed meeting, each protest, and each new lawsuit only solidifies her downfall. A deeper look at Henyard's administration reveals a pattern of dysfunction and controversy. Her leadership style has been described as erratic, with sources close to her administration admitting that morale among her inner circle is at an all-time low. Staff members have reportedly begun resigning quietly or disengaging entirely, unwilling to be associated with what they see as a failing administration. This internal unrest is mirrored in the public sphere. Henyard has found herself at the center of a political power struggle within Thornton Township, where trustees Carmen Carlisle and Chris Gonzalez have been boycotting meetings in an effort to prevent her from appointing an ally to a vacant trustee position. They argue that such an appointment would grant Henyard unchecked power. Henyard, in turn, has accused the trustees of stalling government operations, including the renewal of the township's insurance policies. The result has been a complete stalemate, with neither side willing to back down. Meanwhile, residents are left bearing the brunt of the political gridlock. One trustee has warned that the township's insurance costs have tripled due to the ongoing turmoil, providing less coverage while burdening taxpayers even further. Beyond the political infighting, everyday residents are grappling with the real-life consequences of Henyard's alleged mismanagement. Reports of unlicensed animal control operations have raised concerns about public safety, with some questioning whether these programs are operating within legal parameters. Additionally, delayed street plowing during the winter months has left many frustrated as snow-covered roads have become a hazard for drivers and pedestrians alike. These issues have only reinforced the perception that Henyard's administration is failing to meet the basic needs of the community. And with each passing controversy, her critics grow louder. The sense of betrayal is particularly palpable among those who once saw her as a beacon of hope for change in Dalton. Instead of ushering in a new era of progress, they argue that she has allowed corruption and chaos to take root. The question now is, what comes next for Tiffany Henyard? Will she face legal consequences for her alleged financial mismanagement and political maneuvering? Can Thornton Township and Dalton recover from the turmoil that has defined her tenure? And perhaps most importantly, who will step up to lead these communities into a bride?